Hey everybody, and thanks for watching Woodcrest Bonsai. In this video I'm going to work on this Shohin Ilex Shillings. As in the last video, it's in the exact same pot, a plastic bonsai training pot. It also has pretty interesting nabari. And this one is a little more upright. It also has some pretty heavy-duty scars from where I already trimmed it back. Let's get rid of some of these leaves here. So I already trimmed off some pretty heavy-duty growth from the first time I styled this. And I'm going to be trimming off some fairly heavy growth in this styling too. And when we look at this way, we see the tree is leaning forward. So this is the front. And unlike the last one where I'm going to modify the front so it's not in the same angle as the pot, this one could possibly be correctly placed in the pot already. And it's not necessary for that because you can always change the front of a tree. Anyway, I'm going to take this guy off. It's also got this branch here which is coming from way down in here, so we don't need that. Can't hardly even get to it. There we go. And actually I think I'm going to take all of this off because we have a pretty heavy duty limb that can be the first main branch. So this is all coming off. So we're going to have yet another pretty good scar on the trunk. I want to clean it up a little bit so it's not a knob. Okay, then what else have we got to do? I think I'm going to do the haircut thing. So like here's a branch that's growing straight up. It's way too tall. Just going to give the rest of it a little bit of a haircut. Here's another branch where you can see it's just so weird, just shooting straight up, almost like a water shoot. I trimmed this edge and you can see I got a bunch of little growth, but this is just too much. And if this is going to be the first main branch, even though we're looking at the back, all of this stuff needs to be shortened so the branch has a nice pad. We have a downward growing portion right here. And then this one here needs to be shortened or possibly even taken off. Now if we look at it this way, you see the first main branch is actually going backwards, but then it kind of rights itself. And it could right itself even more if we used one of these. So I could conceivably take all of this off and let the first main branch come out this way instead of being too far back. In typical design, you want your first main branches to be at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock if you are standing at noon. So now what else have we got? I'm going to take off some of this. I think this is going to be a much more upright tree. And we have that very thick first main branch, but then there really isn't any more real thick branches going all the way up this guy. So, and it may need, really want to clean this guy up even more. It's just still too much of a knob. Come on. Don't want to go too deep either, kind of like a fine line. Well, that wasn't perfect, but it'll suffice. So I may modify this tree for this to be the front. You know, somewhere in here, this guy is kind of an eye poker on top. The whole thing could possibly be wired like that. Missing a lot in here, but we have some small growth that we can promote to get out into there. So yes, this tree is going to be a much more upright tree, much less angularity than a lot of my trees. But that's not bad. Usually, you know, by the time you get as many trees as me, you don't want everything to just be cookie cutter. And I have a lot of tendency to have kind of a cookie cutter because I like my trees a certain way, and so a lot of my trees, if you look at my videos, they look very similar because my styling is very similar. And that's not bad. That's just me. And if you're new into bonsai, learn your own style. Do your own style. If you can learn something from the way I do things, then that's fantastic. If you look at some of my videos and you say, I'm not really sure I want to go that way, that's fantastic too. Find your own path. That's really the essence of any art form, really. So that's about it for today. I don't really have a whole lot more that I want to do with this guy. It has potential. I think it's going to be a much more upright tree. This tree will look a lot like an old oak once it's finished. I need to get these guys thicker. Don't really let the first main branch grow that much more because it's already quite thick. And of course we had a major trunk chop right there that you can see. This guy right here. Which is why we have the taper from this thickness here to this thickness here. And these scars may create some knobbiness on the trunk, but that's acceptable. So somewhere in here, the front, somewhere in here, maybe even bring it up, make it even more upright. Probably the most important thing that this tree needs is to fill in over here. And that will happen just, you know, this little tiny growth right here. Just let it elongate the way that the lower limbs have, and it will form a nice pad right there. Let this guy elongate. And Ilex Shillings does not have apical dominance. So apical dominance is basically defined as the growing tip. I'm not even looking at the growing tip. Okay, whoop, there we go. The growing tip will elongate at the expense of the side shoots. Ilex Shillings does not do that. Ilex Shillings is bottom dominant. So if you pinch here, if I've cut all this stuff off here, it will sprout all everywhere. It's called bottom dominant. The other bonsai types bonsai styles or bonsai species that we use that also have some pretty heavy duty bottom tolerance are azaleas, and I would also say green island ficus. They both are a bottom dominant tree. But I think this tree has potential. It needs a couple more years, and other than that, I think that's about it for today. It's not as confusing as the one I did a few minutes ago. And this guy is also growing in quite a bit of shade, under the shade of my huge oak tree. The same oak tree I use when I rake the leaves to make my leaf mold when I sift my soil. So that's about it for today. Yeah, I think just a little bit in here, change the front, and a little bit of foliage in here, and this tree could have some very nice countenance. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and you can watch this guy continue to develop, as with all my trees. And leave a comment if you'd like. We don't have a vote on this one, because I think I'm pretty set on which way I want this guy to go. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.